Good morning, it's January 20th, and we're gonna look at a few stocks that are in the news today. You've probably heard that Google is shedding a bunch of workers, roughly 6% of its workforce. You've got Netflix. Even though they didn't meet their earnings estimates, what they did do is show subscriber growth, which people have been caring about, especially given that they're doing some crackdowns on sharing passwords. And then last, Eli Lilly, the FDA, came back and said, hey, we need more data. So their Alzheimer's drug failed because of that in terms of getting to the next stage, but I'm sure they'll be back with more data. But I want to take a look at, let's say you either hold these companies or you want to invest in them, want to short them, whatever you want to do. How do you use the Longbow dashboard to take a look at that after events like this occur? So I've put these in my morning bucket for you today. I'm on my KISS view, and so that's giving me a pretty quick view of what's going on. And with Google, so what we can, they're late to the game announcing layoffs, but I doubt anybody's surprised over it. And by the way, I think fundamentally it's, they hired a ton of people in their cloud area, so most likely it's to get their margins up overall. But you can see here the white dash is above the red dash, so it is overbought. And the green would be the low end of the trading range. So right now it's an overbought day. For Netflix, it's pretty much near an overbought day. So even though it's showing neutral, you can consider that, I don't know, in 10 minutes or whenever, but you're really at the top end of the range. And then for Eli Lilly, you can see that it's oversold. So this gives you a pretty quick hit visually when you're looking at the lines and then the range signal to know what's going on with that stock today. And then I would look at the momentum signals. So for Google, you've got bullish short term, so it's a positive, but it's been bearish intermediate term, and that's no surprise. Tech's been on its heels. For Netflix, it's been bullish and bullish because it's come back. And then you've got Eli Lilly, most recently bearish, So a lot of healthcare has had a downturn while other stocks have rallied. And the medium term, it's been bullish. Healthcare was on a roll. So you can look at these momentum signals, and we've been talking about that a little bit this week, of how to take a look at that, along with the trading range dynamics. So if I'm looking at Google, the low end of the trading range has been getting higher and the high end has been getting higher. That's a pretty good sense if you're going long. You're not going to really want to be shorting into that. So I'm going to stop now and then hit into the Google security, and we'll come back to the others to say, okay, then what do I do with that? You can see it looks like the wide range here back in October, November, and then it's been narrowing since then, but you've got a slight increase in both the low end of the trading range and the high end of the trading range. And because of this news, the stock has popped up and you're at the top. So this wouldn't be the day that you'd be adding to the position. The news is already out. The technicals are saying, fundamentally put that aside. Technically, if there's any weakness in the market, you'll probably see it in this stock as well because you're a little bit above that trading range. It's not big enough news to really change the whole trajectory of the company. So I'd be a little bit careful if you're going long. And if you're holding a large position in Google and you're using hedges to manage risk in it, probably be a good day to take a look at those. There's not much short interest in the stock. So from that perspective, you're not going to see a short squeeze. Probably good to go check out to see if there's any kind of protection you could use on that security, or things that rhyme, so other securities that trade along with it, or ETFs like the XLK QQQ that might be able to provide, or XLC, provide some buffer in case long duration securities get hit again. So that's how I'd look at Google. Now we'll take a look at Netflix. So we talked about some of these. I'll turn the KISS view back on and take a look at the trading range dynamics. So remember, for Netflix, you've got asymmetry of bearish, so that's not that great. But the low end of the trading range has been going higher, but then the high end has been getting lower. So we're looking at a narrowing range. So I'm going to hop into Netflix here, take a look at, from a trading perspective. So this, again, not fundamental, but a trading perspective. How do you look at it? So we've seen this range is getting narrower. You can see this is pretty narrow relative to way back here in October. It's a much, much higher range. That's a little bit because volatility is going down, so your range is going to be lower. And but what you see here is it's nearing the top end of its range. And so if I'm looking at how is this track the trading range relative to the security price, when it hit the bottom, guess what happened? It went up. It gets near the top, and then we see some softness. It's near the lower. It heads up. Hit the lower here, It's climbing, 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 and now you're at the top. So this again is one where you're owning Netflix. I think you have to be a little bit careful because you are at the top end of the range. And also from a good perspective, you have bullish short-term and medium-term momentum going for you. But you do want to be a little bit careful when there's a pop on the news. That's usually not the day you want to be entering something new. So you might want to wait till the white bar goes in between the green and the red bar if you're trying to enter and start a position. But if you're holding a position, and not managing it day to day in terms of hedges, this gives you a little bit comfort, the momentum indicator and the implied volatility premium, that people have been worried about this and putting protection on it. So you might be able to hold that a bit longer. And now I'm going to look at Lilly. So that's the last one on our list. I'll take a look at the KISS view here. Again, the asymmetry is bullish, so that is good. But the low end's been getting lower and the high end's been getting lower. That's usually not a good thing. And you'll see that from the visual here. So we'll open that up. It was a much, much wider range. The range has been getting narrower, but it's been on a downturn along with a lot of healthcare. Now you're at the low end of the range. So if you're looking to short a stock, today's not the day you go short Lilly, unless you have some sort of view of their Alzheimer's drug, something more fundamental that you're betting on, and you really think this is going to go a lot lower. But if it's something where you believe in the company, you believe in the prospects ahead, they've been known to have very solid management team, solid product pipeline. This is one where maybe you would buy into it. But you have to be a little bit careful because people have been taking money off the table in healthcare. And you can kind of see that from the momentum indicator. And maybe I'll show you what it looks like, or you can check it out, what it looks like with the healthcare ETFs and other healthcare companies. They've been a little bit soft, while more cyclical and tech-oriented things have come up this year with the equity rebound. But you could see that reverse the same. So remember, we talk about three things. So there's the macro, there's the fundamental, and the technical. We've just talked about the technical today. So you'd want to have a view on the macro, and maybe I'll share that in another video coming up. And then also the fundamental. So on these stocks, you want to do your own fundamental research, decide what you think about them. You put that together with the technical. You're never just playing on the technicals alone. And so with the technicals here, it just lets you say, okay, how do I get all those stars to align? So if I have a view on it, are the technicals supporting that view as well? And if so, how do I use that trading range to enter, exit, hedge, do whatever I want to do short on those securities? So that's it for today. We'll see you back next week. Have a great weekend.